Welcome back to some professional Starcraft 2 from Stay-at-Home Story Cup. Players competing from the comfort of their own gamer chairs for the chance at the championship. Two of the best Korean TERRAN players making a big splash in the last Home Story Cup. Can he continue his efforts? From Dragon Phoenix Gaming, it is Cure. And in the top left, the staple of Starcraft 2 for the last 7 years at least. We'll see how long he can continue to hold everything together. Innovation. This game comes recommended by the internet. I don't know what happens. It's TERRAN versus TERRAN. If there are not, like, it comes recommended, and I somehow have not been spoiled. If there are not battlecruisers and nukes, and mule drops, but, like, for a good reason, and command centers flying everywhere, then I will be disappointed, and I will cancel the internet. So, you hear that, Al Gore? I'm shutting it down. So let's hope. Innovation SCV scout spots. Cure going for a 1-Rax expand, but Cure SCV scout as well. I've noticed Terrans in general have kind of shied away from the no scout plays lately. They're like, it kind of shifts in and out in different matchups, but almost every matchup now, I'm noticing top TERRAN players, they do send that SCV out. No more losing to proxy Rex or Hatch or Gate. At least not right away. Innovation did pull off a gas, I believe, for a while in order to get this command center out. And then he's added it right back in for the starport. This is the most economical of the two gas plays. Oh, it out! Oh, well, that's a rough day. That Reaper's on the hunt. At a 2-tier jump. He doesn't want to get baited, but... I mean, there's literally like a caution sign. I can interpret. As Innovation says... Shit. And Kira's like, you should have known better. Oh, and the SCV? Innovation had gone to the same spot, but Kira's going to pick up one, maybe more. And now heads to the main. Cure with a nice early advantage. He's up 4 workers. He started with an expansion earlier, and he got a better trade in the early game. So, as for TERRAN versus TERRAN, since barely anything, not barely anything, since not much can really happen for the player who goes 1-Rax expand, that was 1 Reaper. That was all it cost him, was 1 Reaper. Oh, Hellion shows up to the party. Will he actually get any kills? He's gonna try. Okay. Cure is building up his unit count. Gonna go for a 3rd command center. So here's what we're doing. All right. We're gonna go for a macro game. Not incredibly surprising, considering neither side willing to commit to early aggression, and on a relatively standard map. Well, it's unlikely to be successful. How many Ravens? 1 Raven for both sides. Sometimes we'll see up to 3, depending on how creative players are feeling. But 1 Raven, just, like, you gotta have the Raven. It doesn't seem like a big deal until you don't have one. And then suddenly, it is the biggest deal. Anti-armor missile, auto turrets, and interference matrix are 3 of the most important abilities in the entire matchup, let alone, like, in the game, let alone the matchup. So, that Raven kind of does whatever you need it to do in the early game, as long as you take care of it, you say nice things, you make sure to keep it well fed, drink a lot of Red Bulls for energy, and that Raven will pay off. Innovation's adding on his production quicker. He's also got his upgrades quicker. He's got his 3rd command center quicker. How did this happen? I guess Cure got 1 more tank. That scan is not going to make Cure happy, I don't think. Knowing that his barracks are so significantly behind. I'm actually, like, Innovation, I guess he cut a few corners here. He just gambled a little that Cure wasn't going to do an all-out attack. Notice the lack of Vikings. Almost always in early game Terran versus Terran, you see Vikings. Like you're seeing between 2 and 6. Sometimes more. Sometimes players don't even build medevacs, even if they're going for bio. But not a single Viking, which is really interesting. I actually don't know why. Sure, you might be like, well, they can't really attack each other, but usually you at least make a couple. I don't know the last time I've seen a game like this that didn't have any. Well, we'll see how that plays out. So Cure is just a little bit behind on everything, besides the worker count, of which he has a marginal lead of 1, which is about as marginal as it gets. So we're playing effectively no rush 10-minute. Sure, Reapers and Hellions had a little bit of a spat earlier, but do we even count them? Cure actually lost a Cyclone, and I have no idea where. I was not paying attention. That's my bad. That might have factored into the lack of aggression. Well, a nice gentleman. So TVT, unlike the other matchups, is a little more passive, even in the early game. Sure, you can be aggressive, but it's chess boxing. We've been playing chess. Okay? But now, Innovation is looking for a knockout blow. He's got Combat Shield. He's got 1-1. The Combat Shield is a big advantage. The Sensor Tower. He spots the army. The scan. Whoa, Cure, why are you out here? You gotta back off. Boost the medevacs. Moving into position. Full energy Ravens on both sides. Whoever scrambles. Oh, double, triple scramble with the auto turret. Connection. More Marines come down from the high ground. Splits and stims. The lack of Combat Shield hurt, but the auto turrets tanked a lot of damage. That 1 Marine from the back. Bowls like a bowling pin. Bowls like a bowling pin. What else would a bowling pin do? But the auto turret seemed to be the better choice. And of course, just having a bigger Marine count with a decent spread. Innovation driven back, but a drop will keep Cure at bay. His reinforcement's going to be gunned down. The boys will be pulled. Meanwhile, Cure moves out with most of his tanks. Are the Ravens still intact? Cure lost his Raven, but Innovation kept his, interestingly. Some Vikings have showed up to the party. The lack of Sensor Tower really hurting here. Nice Viking micro. Oh, and down goes the medevac with all hands. And back to the chess. Back to the chess. So, the boxing match is over for now. Both sides even on supply. Cure has a 5-tank advantage, as he was able to crush in those tanks in that attack. But Innovation has had more Marine production from quicker barracks, so he has an advantage in that. And now this is a massive risk, but also has the potential for a massive reward. Does he see it? He sees it now! There's nothing in the main besides a couple Vikings. One of the riskiest drops he could have done, but a high risk and high reward. Tanks drop a whole bunch of Marines on top of Cure's production. Can he bring his forces together to smash this attack, or does he get chipped away so much that he has a serious disadvantage? He scans from both sides. Everybody sees, everybody stims, everybody fights! Cure closes in. Innovation pulls out. Loses a couple medevacs. Gets most of the Marines out of there. Drops away. 17 supply advantage. Everybody back to your corners. 2-2 is now done for both sides. 3-3 already started for Innovation. He had a slight upgrade lead, which contributed to the good trade there. But Cure holds on. The worker counts are even. Innovation establishing a fourth. It's already a planetary fortress. Cure just a step behind. A scan forward. And Innovation is just that much! How? Meanwhile, a scan spots the army to drop back into the main, but Cure's already there, ready! A few Marines waiting to stop him. Wait. It looks like Innovation just barely didn't have enough, and reinforcements come in. Inno's going to pull, well, one tank isn't going to make all the difference. +1. Interestingly, Innovation is one of the only players who does this. He's gone for +1 armor. Mech armor, that is. Does he not see? Oh, well, now he sees the army, and the Marines come in. They're looking for the snipe. It's not enough. He drops it right back down. A couple push-ups, but Innovation continues throwing units left and right. He still has a supply lead, and why not? He's got 5 barracks, 2 factories, a starport, so does Cure, but he has to keep playing catch up. I mixed between keep away and catch up. Not mustard. Wait, obviously. Okay, just stop. Just talk about the game. Jesus. 2 medevacs heading towards the natural. Too much going on as well for Cure and myself. The natural, undefended. Units scramble back. Planetary at the 4th. Cure's holding for now. The natural base is vulnerable. Boys will be pulled to cover. Innovation pulls back. These tanks are going to be difficult to dislodge. Cure's looking for an engagement opportunity. There's only 3 tanks here, but the Marines have to trickle through to deal with this. There's a drop at the back. He's going for the armory. Lifts the command center to be able to get his Marines into position quicker. Cure's still somehow at 180 supply. He loses 11 SCVs, but he's at 69, which is going to be nice enough. The armory burns. The engineering bays will be repaired. The medevac shut down, and Cure holds. Oh, no. No! No! Will it burn? Oh, no. Oh, but here comes Innovation again! He can't stop! He won't stop! He's dropping more than a Skrillex album! We've got 4 medevacs, a Marines, and a couple tanks! The barracks are in the way of everything! +3 infantry weapons is done! It's gonna be a base trade! Tanks on the way! There's also an attack at the 3rd! There's nothing to defend! The orbital's gone! The building command center is gone! But now Cure is focused entirely on the other side of the map. These tanks are stalled out in the main. Cure is running out of options. The planetary's under fire. Innovation has 2 Ravens now. He's going for Corvid Reactor, but the planetary is obliterated. Meanwhile, at the natural, the Marines step too far. Will be taken out. The main base still has a beachhead. Cure is still within 10 supply. It keeps feeling like he's losing the fights, but the war is still very much in doubt. 1 tank taken out. I think it's worth the medevac just to get a little bit of extra position. This is... With 2 tanks at the very back here, it's still really tough to dislodge. They have +2 mech armor. Once again, an interesting choice. But the mech armor affects air and ground, whereas mech weapons obviously only affects the ground. Medevacs do not shoot. Maybe next patch. Meanwhile, that Cyclone that survived this long will go down. Cure is actually in a supply lead. He's stopped the bleeding. He's quarantined Innovation to the side of his main and has focused his efforts towards the front. Oh, anti-armor missile, a massive Dorito dusting, and those tanks just gonna chew into the Marines. Oh, you cannot fight when that anti-armor missile connects. Meanwhile, Cure's had enough. 3-3 is done. Those tanks are gone. The rest of the Marines will be forced to pull out. Another command center on the way. Innovation refuses to stop. This attack should be able to cancel the command center. Does he get the cancel? He does. Meanwhile, a scan. This command center, will it be canceled? Oh, the Marines from the high ground in an awkward engagement will slide around. He needs to save the base. He needs to save the base. This base is super important. But also he's, oh, here we go. Cure as well. A bit of an awkward engagement. Innovation shut down. But now Cure returns the favor. A half a dozen tanks and more. The Marines stuck in between the building. But the tanks are obliterating Innovation's forces, both on the ground and the ones popping out of the barracks. More Marines coming in. All the tanks! Every single tank is scrambled right now. He's running out of interference matrix. Oh, the choke points are devastating. They're fighting in the streets. It's a bloodbath. And Innovation loses so much. but his production is intact. Meanwhile, Cure takes his reinforcements across the map now that Innovation has dealt with the main. There's still more to consider. Cure waited for his moment. And it might, like, he still has 4 bases somehow. His main base is in flight. He has 20 more workers. What has Cure done to keep it together for this long? The scans are traded out, but suddenly Cure's going to have 4, 5, 6 bases. What? How is that even possible? Innovation. Well, did you know that medevacs fly faster than even men on drugs can run? Cure is moving to intercept. I don't think he realizes it. He's just moving into a good position to attack. The scan doesn't see any of the army. Cure scans the same place, creating a very awkward situation. And that kind of gives away what could and could not be happening. The production is still insanely vulnerable. Innovation needs to buy time to reestablish his economy and his infrastructure. He's down 50 supply, but Cure's caught in no man's land. He's caught in limbo. He's caught in purgatory. As right now, Innovation drops in the main, this time right on top of the racks. And that's the main production for Cure right now. He's got a few at the natural, but the factories and the starport. Meanwhile, an attack on Innovation's 4th. The tank should be enough. He's forced to back off. Marines obliterated if they even try to get close. A no man's land. Now Cure once again has to try to beat Innovation out of his main. Innovation is surrounded on all sides, which means there's plenty of targets. The tank's moving forward. Here comes Cure with everything he's got. The Marines are stimming. Well, the clumping. The clumping is kind of rough, but the lack of tank weapons is really hurting Innovation here. As the 3-3 Marines, without tank weapons, those Marines are actually able to stand their ground well enough. And Innovation is forced to tuck tail. The medevacs, the only survivors. He spots the medevacs. He's looking for the reinforcements, but the Ravens can change the game, and the army supplies are only 10 different. The Ravens, there are 3 of them, and they have a lot of energy. Always useful, no matter early, mid, late, or end. Couple tanks here. Cure kind of scrambling into the fight. He's disjointed. That tank is taken out. There's a whole division of medevacs here. Innovation has 8 to Cure's 5. Cure is starting to slip a little here. We're in the midfield. Neither side can really securely take a position that isn't their own base. Innovation doesn't even siege. He just holds his ground. But scans, a Venn diagram scan. Beautiful. Snipes 2 Ravens, but the interference matrices make it easy to take out these tanks. Cure bringing up reinforcements. The supply's still even. Cure's been on more bases, but Innovation has had a better unit composition, and overall he's outmaneuvered Cure at most points. Cure's about to be isolated. It looks like Innovation is going for the throne. The tanks will siege. A couple interference matrices, but more reinforcing. Cure! Stock the Marines getting hit. He picks up. He's heading to the main. A single medevac survives. The planetary gonna help, but for how long will Cure try to break in? The Raven doesn't have much energy. The other 2 were sniped. That was big earlier. Those Raven snipes, but the planetary is gone. The SCVs on the trail of tears as they're obliterated by the Crucio cannons. Here comes Cure from all sides. Scans are all over the place. The boys are pulled, and the tanks are gone. But at what cost? 159 to 160 supply. He scans the base. Innovation thinks, okay, maybe I should have focused on that earlier. More Ravens come up. He's got 3 of them now, but Cure has 10 tanks to 3. And 10, I'm not a math expert, is a significant advantage. 8 SCVs went down, but Cure still somehow has 73. It's so much for the chest. It's all the boxing now. 4 Ravens in the mix still can change a lot, but is it enough to stop all of these tanks? Once again, the weapons upgrade. Oh, the scrambles, 1, 2, 3, 4! But is that enough? Here comes Innovation! Marines, boys, crushing through Stim, but can he win? The splits are good, but the tanks are coming out of interference matrix, and Cure, not enough. Drop at the back, loses SCVs. This base, targeted, it's gone. I lied. What a save. Cure down now 25 supply, and both of his fresh-ish mining bases are being targeted. That one he lost a few SCVs. He's still at an SCV advantage, which means the army supply is significantly in favor of innovation. Production is all over the place. Meanwhile, this attack was crushed. Cure is rotating around the left, while innovation strikes to the right. Cure finds a command center. Sensor tower goes down. The planetary can't fly. A major design flaw. Planetary under fire. Only 2 tanks here, but innovation is on the warpath. He's still got a lot of energy on these Ravens. Cure's trying to keep things together. He's struggling to find an economy, but so is innovation. Those tanks targeted. Cure pulls all the way back. Oh, anti-armor missile. Those Marines can no longer fight. 24 SCVs went down. He pulled the boys to fight Cure's smaller army. Is that going to be a mistake? Or is that what gives him the angle to actually take the victory? It's looked like, well, innovation has driven deep into Cure's base multiple times. Cure's had some good attacks of his own. But it's a nearly 50 army supply. It's a 50 army supply advantage. Workers aren't going to solve this. Anti-armor missile. Here comes innovation. Everything comes together. The boys are pulled. The base is lifted. Anti-armor missile is too much. The tanks and the Marines hold the line. And innovation cleans up Cure and takes the game. Well, there were no nukes. There were no battle cruisers. But I think that was worth watching. One of the most, from the 7-minute mark where almost nothing happened to the end where everything has happened, one of the most, if not the most exciting Terran versus Terrans, at least this year. Innovation and Cure putting on a show. Innovation comes out on top with the Ravens making the difference. But hopefully you enjoyed. Like and subscribe and ring all the bells and all of those exciting things. What did you think? Compare it to PvP and ZVZ. Thank you to Take TV for Stay at Home Story Cup. Thank you for watching. Good luck and have